Listen to this very carefully. There's an invisible button inside the female mind that you can press without even touching her. And when you learn to activate it, man, the game changes completely. You know that guy who seems to have an internal magnet? Who walks into a room and women just gravitate around him? He's not doing anything special. He's not holding anyone's hand. He's not invading personal space. But something about him awakens a desire that's almost magnetic. And what if I told you this has nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with money, and definitely nothing to do with those ridiculous pickup lines you see out there? You're about to discover a secret that only 5% of men know. An ultra-rare method of creating deep attraction using only your presence, your words, and your energy. No touching, no invasion, no desperation. Pay attention because this will change your love life forever. You've probably been through this. You met an amazing woman. You tried to get physically close. You held her hand too early. You tried a forced hug, and you felt her energy pulling back, creating an invisible barrier between you. You know what happened? You skipped crucial steps. You jumped straight to the physical, without building the psychological foundation of attraction. It's like trying to build a house starting with the roof. The truth hurts, but it needs to be said. Most men have no idea how female desire truly works. They think it's just about coming on strong, about being touchy-feely, about showing direct physical interest. Wrong. Completely wrong. Female desire is born first in the mind. It grows in the imagination. It strengthens in the emotions. And only then, much later, does it manifest in the body. You're trying to skip all these steps, and that's why you're failing. Can you feel how frustrating this makes you? Every rejection you suffer for being too physical too soon is destroying your confidence. You start to think the problem is you, that you're not attractive enough, that you need to be prettier, richer, something else. Lie, the problem isn't you, the problem is your outdated approach. Remember this now. Women are emotional beings first, physical second. When you understand this sequence, you decode the game. I've spent the last 8 years deeply studying the psychology of female attraction. I talked to hundreds of women. I analyzed patterns, I tested theories, and I discovered something almost no one realizes. The most powerful attraction happens in the invisible field, in the space between the two of you, in the unsaid words, in the touches that don't happen, but that she imagines. This is pure science, man. Studies show that anticipation activates the same areas of the brain as actual pleasure. When you create expectation without delivering immediately, her brain goes into overdrive. Now I'm going to teach you the 5 fundamental pillars to awaken this invisible desire. Each one is a piece of the puzzle. Ignore just one and the whole system collapses. Pay very close attention because this is pure gold. First pillar, the magnetic presence that speaks before you open your mouth. Your posture communicates more than 1,000 words. When you enter a room with your shoulders back, chest open, chin slightly elevated, you are sending subconscious signals of dominance and security. It's not about being arrogant. It's about occupying your space in the world without apologizing for existing. Women detect this instantly. It's an internal radar they have, programmed by millions of years of evolution. You know when you see a guy and immediately think he must get a lot of women. It's not his looks, it's the way he moves, slow, calculated, unhurried, as if the world revolves on his time. You need to develop this. Slow down your movements by 30%. When you turn your head, do it slowly. When you gesture, do it with purpose. Every movement you make should seem intentional, not reactive. Does that make sense to you? Now, eye contact. This is the direct channel to the female soul. When you look into her eyes and hold the gaze for 3 seconds longer than would be comfortable, something magical happens. She feels a tension, an energy, a connection that cannot be explained. It's as if you're saying things without speaking, and her brain starts filling in the blanks with fantasies. But be careful. It's not staring like a psychopath. Here it's looking with intention, with presence, with a slight curve of the lips that suggests you know something she doesn't. Can you visualize the difference? Second pillar, the art of hypnotic conversation that captures her attention. Forget elevator. Talk. Forget talking about the weather. Forget asking what she does for a living. That's NPC conversation, man. Side character conversation. You need to go straight for the emotional. Ask questions no one else asks. Create unexpected connections. Surprise her brain with angles she's never considered. For example, instead of asking where she works, ask what was the moment she felt most alive in the past few months. See the difference? A generic question versus a question that accesses emotional memories. When she answers, don't just listen. Dive into her answer. Ask follow-up questions that show you're really paying attention. This is so rare these days that it becomes almost irresistible. Use her name during the conversation. Studies show that hearing one's own name activates pleasure centers in the brain, but use it sparingly, once or twice per conversation. More than that gets weird. And here's an ultra-rare secret. Pause in the middle of your sentences. Create suspense. Let her lean forward, waiting for the rest. This creates a verbal dance where she is constantly engaged, constantly wanting more. Is this starting to make sense? Third pillar, the captivating energy that attracts effortlessly. Energy is everything, man. You can say the right words with the wrong energy and it won't work. But you can say anything with the right energy and it will create attraction. What's the right energy? It's a mix of relaxation with contained excitement. Like a predator, resting but alert. Calm on the outside, but with fire on the inside. Women, feel your energy even before they process your words. If you're nervous, anxious, needy, it leaks out of every pore, and it kills any chance of attraction. You need to cultivate a vibe of abundance, as if you know you have options, as if her presence is cool but not necessary for your happiness. This isn't about being a jerk. It's about having an interesting life of your own. Practice this. Before any interaction, take 3 deep breaths. Center yourself. Remember that you are the prize. She needs to win you over as much as you want to win her over. When you project this high-value energy without arrogance, something changes in the air. She starts to wonder who you are, why you're different, what you have that others don't. Can you feel this shift in perspective? Fourth pillar, active listening that creates instant connection. Pay attention to this because few men apply it. When she's talking, don't think about what you're going to say next. Don't wait for your turn to speak. Really listen. Listen to the words. Listen to the tone. Listen to what she's not saying. Women communicate in layers. The surface is only 10% of the real message. When she says she had a tiring day, it's not about the day. It's about how she feels. When she mentions she loves to travel, it's not about the places. It's about the feeling of freedom and adventure. Respond to the subtext, not the text. If she says work is stressful, don't give advice on productivity. Validate her feeling. Say something like, I can only imagine how challenging it must be to deal with so much pressure. This creates a sense of being seen, being understood, being valued. And man, that's more addictive than any drug for the female brain. Does that make sense to you? Also use the subtle mirroring technique. When she tilts her head, you tilt yours a few seconds later. When she touches her hair, you adjust something on yourself. This creates subconscious rapport. But be careful, subtle is the key word. If she consciously notices, it gets weird. It has to be like a dance where you both move in sync without thinking. About it. Fifth pillar, building mystery and anticipation. This is the secret sauce almost no one realizes. You need to be an open book enough to create connection, but closed enough to maintain mystery. Never tell everything about yourself at once. Leave blanks. Mention something interesting and change the subject. Make references to experiences without giving all the details. For example, you can say that place reminds you of an adventure you had in Barcelona, and when she asks about it, you smile and say it's a story for another time. See what happened? You planted a seed of curiosity. Now she wants to know more. She wants another date. She wants to discover your stories. Also create physical anticipation without touching. Get close enough for her to feel your presence, but don't touch. Leave. Your hand near hers on the table, but don't make contact. Look at her lips for a second and then back to her eyes. This creates absurd sexual tension. Her brain starts imagining the touch, fantasizing about the kiss. And the more she imagines, the stronger the desire becomes. Can you visualize this field of tension between you? Now let me tell you about the framework that ties all this together, the triangle of subtle attraction. Presence is the foundation. Without a magnetic presence, nothing else works. It's your bedrock. Conversation is the bridge. It's how you transport emotions and create connection. Energy is the amplifier. It's what transforms an ordinary interaction into something unforgettable. When you combine the three, you become irresistible. Not in the arrogant sense of the word, but in the literal sense. She can't resist thinking about you. Always remember, presence plus conversation plus energy equals invisible attraction. Now I know what you might be thinking. Isn't this manipulation? Isn't this pretending to be something I'm not? Wake up, man. This has nothing to do with manipulation. This is about developing your best qualities. It's about learning to communicate effectively. It's about understanding how human beings connect on a deep level. You're not fooling anyone. You're just learning to express your value in a way that resonates with the feminine. It's like learning a new language. You're not lying when you speak English instead of Portuguese. You're just communicating more effectively. And let me tell you a secret. Women want you to know this. They want a man who understands the game, who knows how to create tension, who knows how to build attraction. This shows emotional intelligence, maturity, experience. Think about it. When you master this art of invisible attraction, you no longer have to worry about rejection. Because you're not invading anyone's space, you're not being inappropriate, you're just being magnetic. Can you imagine what your life would be like when you master this? Walking into any room and feeling the eyes on you, talking to any woman and seeing the sparkle of interest in her eyes, creating deep connections without having to force anything. This isn't fantasy. It's a skill that can be developed like any other skill. It requires practice, of course. It requires consistency, but the results are transformative. Now let's talk about calibration, because every woman is unique. Every situation calls for a slightly different approach. More extroverted women respond better to higher energy, more humor, more playfulness. You can be bolder with your pauses and gazes. More introverted women need a softer approach, calmer energy, deeper conversation, more space for them to open up in their own time. The key is to observe and adjust, not to have a rigid script, to be like water, adapting to the container but maintaining your essence. Can you see the importance of this flexibility? And here's an advanced technique that few apply, the strategic withdrawal. When the conversation is at its peak, when she's super engaged, when the energy is high, you withdraw, say you need to go, that it was great talking, and leave her wanting more. This is so powerful, it's almost criminal, because the human brain values what is scarce more. When you leave at the peak, she keeps thinking about you, reliving the conversation, imagining the next meeting. You occupy her mental space without being physically present. Does that make sense to you? Now about timing. Many guys are in a hurry. They want immediate results. They want her to fall in love on the first date. That's a scarcity mindset. Real, deep, lasting attraction takes time to build. It's like a campfire. You start with small kindling. You gradually add larger logs. If you throw a huge log on at the beginning, it extinguishes everything. Be patient. Let the attraction grow naturally. Each interaction adds a layer. Each conversation deepens the connection. Every moment of unresolved tension increases desire. Think of yourself as a conductor leading a symphony. There are moments of intensity, moments of softness, dramatic pauses, emotional crescendos. It's an art, not an exact science. And always, remember this, female desire is like a pressure cooker. It needs time to heat up. It needs pressure to intensify. If you open the valve too early, you lose all the energy. So hold that tension. Let it build. Let her fantasize. Let her wonder when it's going to happen. This is 1,000 times more powerful than any premature physical touch. Are you understanding the power of this? I'll give you a practical example now. Imagine you're in a coffee shop, the aroma of fresh coffee in the air, soft music in the background. You're talking to an interesting woman. Instead of trying to hold her hand, you leave your hand on the table, close but not touching. As you speak, you gesture gently. Sometimes your hand almost brushes hers, but never touches. You maintain deep eye contact. You smile with the corner of your lips when she says something funny. You tilt your head slightly when she shares something personal. You ask questions no one else asks, about her dreams, about what makes her feel alive, about moments that marked her life, and you truly listen to the answers. In the middle of an interesting story, you stop, look at her, let the silence hang for 2 seconds, then continue. She leans forward, completely captivated. When the energy is at its peak, you look at your watch, say you unfortunately have to go, that you loved the conversation, that you should do this again. You stand up slowly, without rushing. Maintain eye contact for another 2 seconds, smile and leave. Can you imagine what goes through her mind after that? She'll replay every moment, every look, every pause. She'll wonder what you thought of her. She'll imagine what it would be like if you had more time, and more importantly, she'll want to see you. Again, she'll fantasize about the next meeting. She'll create expectations and scenarios in her mind. This is invisible attraction in action, without a single touch, without invasion, without desperation, just presence, conversation, and energy, working in harmony. Now pay very close attention to this next point because it's crucial. Consistency is everything. It's no use applying these techniques once and then going back to your old patterns. This needs to become part of who you are. At first, it will feel artificial, like when you're learning to drive and you have to think about every movement. But with practice, it becomes natural, automatic, part of your essence. And when that happens, man, your life changes. You stop chasing women. They start gravitating towards you. You stop worrying about rejection because you're no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You're operating on another level, a level few men even know exists, a level where attraction is created in the invisible space between two people. Does this make sense to you? Let me tell you one more thing about female psychology that almost no one understands. Women are masters at reading subtext. They notice micro-expressions. They pick up on subtle energy shifts. They sense inconsistencies between what you say and what you truly feel. That's why superficial techniques don't work. That's why memorizing pickup lines is useless. That's why pretending to be something you're not always goes wrong. The invisible attraction I'm teaching you needs to come from within. It needs to be congruent. It needs to be aligned with who you truly are, just elevated to your maximum potential. When you develop true magnetic presence, you're not faking it. You're being the best version of yourself. When you learn to converse in a captivating way, you're not lying. You're expressing your genuine curiosity and interest more effectively. When you project captivating energy, you're not acting. You're allowing your natural vitality to shine. Do you see the difference? And there's one more element I need to share with you, the power of contrast. Women are attracted to men who can be strong and sensitive, intense and relaxed, mysterious and open. It's the dance between opposites that creates fascination. If you're intense all the time, it gets tiring. If you're relaxed all the time, it gets boring. The magic is in knowing when to be what. During a deep conversation about her fears, be sensitive and supportive. Soon after, switch to something light and playful. This contrast creates an emotional roller coaster that is absolutely addictive. You starting to see the full picture? Everything I'm teaching you is an integrated system. Each piece supports the other. When you master all the elements, you become a force of nature. But let me be direct with you now. This requires work. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone. It requires facing your fears and insecurities. Many guys will read this and do nothing. They'll continue with the same failed approaches. They'll continue to get frustrated. They'll continue blaming women, circumstances, society. Don't be that guy. Be the guy who takes this information and turns it into action, who practices, who refines, who evolves. Because when you master the art of invisible attraction, you don't just change your love life, you change your entire life. The confidence you develop spills over into your career. Magnetic presence helps you in negotiations. Conversation skills open professional doors for you. Captivating energy attracts opportunities. Can you see how everything is connected? Now it's time for you to decide. Are you going to keep doing what you've always done and getting the same mediocre results? Or are you going to apply these principles and transform your reality? The choice is yours, but let me tell you something. Time is passing. Every day you postpone this change is one less day living the life you deserve. Amazing women are out there waiting for a man who understands the game Who knows how to create real attraction? Who can awaken desire without being invasive or desperate? That man can be you, should be you, will be you if you apply what you've learned here. Remember your internal magnet, that invisible field of attraction you're about to activate. When you turn on that magnet, everything changes. Conversations flow naturally, gazes linger with delicious tension, connections deepen effortlessly, desire grows without you having to force absolutely anything. This isn't fantasy, it's your new reality waiting to be activated. So do this now before you forget, before life distracts you. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what you've learned here is just the beginning. In the next videos, I'll teach you even deeper techniques. I'll show you how to maintain this attraction, how to turn desire into lasting connection, how to be the man every woman desires, but few manage to be. The journey is just beginning, and believe me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Activate your internal magnet now. The world is waiting to feel your magnetic presence.